while we wait on that to dry and see how that turns out, we will put another layer of clear coat, acrylic medium matte finish on the outside here. And then hopefully we'll be done with the outside of this thing. You know, there will be some little, I'll have to go over it with a fine-tooth comb and correct some of the parts where the paper's poking up and giving away the illusion. So we want it all these wrinkles and things to look like blood vessels and stuff when we're done. So then I will come back and I can start gluing in the teeth to see how it looks, and then I can put in my eye holes. So we're not going to put in real eye holes. We're going to put in, well, they're going to be eye holes, but we're going to put in some very small eye holes that you won't be able to see. Hopefully, we'll camouflage them with some mesh, dark mesh, so that the wearer can see out through the little holes because it's so close to their eyes, but people looking in won't be able to they will be able to see it. So that's a little trick I'll show you, so that you guys can replicate that in your masks if you need to. Some of you will want to paint on some really big eyeballs and things like that, and I'll show you how to make realistic looking eyes in another demo. And so when you do that, you know, you can make a eye hole in the pupil that's very small and hide it with mesh. So we'll look at that. All right, for every little ring of darker and darker color that I keep adding in and blending in, I'm getting a little cooler. So if you see, I'm mixing a little more blue and a little more blue in there. And I'm using student grade paint on this because I don't want to, you know, cheat and use something you guys can't use. But this is the phthalo blue. This is how dark it is. And that's a drastic difference from how dark phthalo blue is whenever you buy professional paint. So over here on my palette from my oil paint, you can look at some professional phthalo blue right here. So you see how dark that is compared to that stuff I just showed you? So this pretty light blue compared to some professional phthalo blue right here, that is much, much darker. So I may end up, you know, doing what I can to adjust that in the end because I want a really nice mask. I may come in and finish this up with oil paints. I'm not sure. So I might just take some of my Prussian blue or something like that, this super, super almost black blue, and mix it in here. I'm not sure, to kind of give it that cooler look, to make it look like it's receding down. One of the issues we're going to have with this is that here in the middle where it gets really glossy, where it's supposed to look pushed in, it's not, because it's going to catch highlights. And so that's going to tell our brain that it's coming out, not going in. So it's fighting our optical illusion. So one thing I might also do is cover this in the center. I might cover it with matte finish medium to kind of get some of that sheen and shine off. So we'll see how it dries and looks like when it dries. When it dries, it might actually dull out on its own. A lot of these student grade paints actually are not glossy like the professional acrylic paints, but we'll see. And so if I have to, I will gloss around the other mouth parts that are visible, that look like lights hitting them, and make those look really slimy and wet. And then on everything else, in the hole, I might matte it out to make it less shiny. See, I'm kind of blending those edges together. I'm coming back and working those two different values together. now that I have painted the inside of my mouth, and I'm almost done with that, it's given my mask time to dry on the outside here, my skin, my outer skin here, and so I can probably come back with another layer of acrylic medium. See how it dried clear and see-through, so you can't tell that I even put that on there. It's just going to kind of give this a more transparent look, like skin. All right, make sure my brush is good and dry. And then we're ready for another layer of acrylic medium. See how fast that acrylic paint dries? If they'll get done with their golf cart festival outside, I will show you this. It dries so fast that I would say you want to keep your brushes cleaned out for the most part with acrylic paint. Be careful of your brushes. Don't ever just leave them sitting out, and don't leave them sitting in the water. So don't leave them sitting like this. When you have your brushes sitting in there, it smashes out the ends. That's one of the reasons the brushes in this classroom are so raggedy looking. Another thing I would say is use a big brush for big projects. So this is a much wider brush than the one I was painting my other layers on with. I'm not worried about it being as careful because I want this to get really good coverage, and I'm not painting on any details, so I can switch to my wider brush. I'd even use a wider one. Could even save me more time. So I may want to go in there and get a wider, even wider brush. But I'm trying to stick to these two brushes for this project. I use brushes on my own stuff. I've got brushes that are this wide. You wouldn't even believe it. Okay, another layer complete. Ready to go wash out my brush. One thing that I would like to point out is that I'm gluing my teeth in after I finish putting in all of my layers. This saves me a lot of trouble since I no longer have to paint around the teeth if I do it in this order. Sculpture really is a process. All right, I ran out of teeth. Time to make more. Okay, so now we have this thing glued together. I'm going to flip it around and take a look at it and just see what I think when it's right side up. So it looks pretty gnarly right now, pretty interesting. So we'll flip it around and see what it looks like then. Okay, so this is the front view of the mask. So when I have it on, it'd probably be something about like that, because believe it or not, my eye holes are going to go somewhere. When I tested it out the other day, they're going to go somewhere down here. You might have noticed in the other videos where I have some little oblong circles drawn there. Well, that's what that is. That was my mock-up for where my eyes are going to be. So overall, I'm pretty satisfied with it. I might look around and decide I want another tooth here or there. When I'm satisfied with that, I'll go around with a fine-tooth comb and just remove all of the strings and the little blemishes and anything that I see that's a little messed up. So like this right here, I might fill that with acrylic medium and then put a little bit of paint over the top of it. So once I go over this entire thing and try to pick out every little thing that I think is wrong with it, I will then show you the finished product. So I might show you a few more little things here and there about the piece, how to fix certain little things, but most of it's just little detail work, like finding missed spots and painting them, and finding little wrinkles and fixing them. So I can show you how to do that, and I can take the opportunity to kind of try and show you a few more little tricks, but for the most part, there we go. For the most part, it's pretty well complete. It's just all dressing it up now. Just a little shot underneath there, just so you can see how I made those little mouth parts kind of fold. All right, next time we'll maybe I'll pick this thing apart, critique it really hard, fix little things here and there. I might show you a few more of those, and then we'll look at the finished product. We're finally putting the finishing touches on this thing. So the inside came out a little more glossy in certain lighting than I wanted, even though I used a matte finish. But when you wear it upright, it looks pretty good. It's pretty decent. You see how when I tilt it, it doesn't shine too much because it kind of puts it in shadows. So only in direct light will there be a highlight. So I'm satisfied with the way it turned out. I'm going to go ahead and put some clear medium on the parts that I want to look wet. So if you notice, there are some places on the teeth where there's some kind of pink and red. I decided to keep that. It's easy to get rid of it. All I'd have to do is run a little piece of sandpaper over it for a few seconds and it would get rid of it. But I kind of like it. It kind of looks like this thing's been biting stuff already. And so I'm going to keep that. Also, there are a few little specks of glue and stuff on the teeth here and there that's clear. And I'm going to leave that because it kind of looks like slobber. So I'm going to put on a heavy coating of gloss acrylic medium. And if that's not glossy enough, then I will come and put a layer of glossy spray paint on it. So we will get the effect I want. And so over here, we want this to be good and wet like slobber. So we want the outside of the skin to look more matte, the inside to be very, very glossy. If we get some on the teeth, it's okay. We want the teeth to look kind of shiny. All right, as you can see, I just kind of globbed it on real thick. That's what we call impasto. So I want that paint to be on there thick. I want it to be kind of lumped up to look like slobber building up in different places. So I want this thing to be kind of monstrous. And I think we've achieved what we were looking for. So I'm pretty satisfied with this thing. Once all this dries, I just go over it, touch up any little bitty flaws that I see here or there, and clean it up, and then we'll look at the finished product. The medium has dried, so let's look at the finished product. I think I'm finished, but with all works of art that I make, I like to hang on to them for several weeks and set them out where I can see them, observe them, and see if there are any more flaws that I can pick out. Usually I do find a few things, and I'm very thankful that I had not published the piece yet. This concludes the demo on this video. Thanks for watching.